America, my name is Osei-Frimpong. I come to you at least once a week, and today I'm going to talk about black swimming. All right, so there's some things that black people do, and we don't tell people that we do, but we do, and at a high level, and we've been doing for a while, and through generations. Black tennis is one of those. A lot of people don't think black people play tennis. I just assume black people only play tennis. I grew up in LA in the 80s, and it was just clear to me that black tennis was a thing, and it's black tennis is a thing all across the nation. Black people play tennis. We don't tell people we play tennis, but if you know black people at any community level, you know that black tennis is an entire genre of tennis. And this might not necessarily be true in all parts of America, but it's true enough to say that black tennis is actually a thing. In the same way that black baseball was a thing, even though you didn't see black players in the major leagues in the early 20th century. We had a whole other system, the Negro leagues, right? So black tennis is a thing, right? It's not a thing we tell anybody about necessarily, but you cannot be surprised when you see black people who play tennis at a high level, like analyze tennis at a high level, coach tennis at a high level, and they were taught by other black people who, do all of these things at a high level, because black tennis is an entire ecosystem that needs to be respected as such. Black swimming is not the case. We do not swim at the numbers we should. We do not have the culture around swimming that we should. Black swimming there are black people who swim, and there may be like a handful of predominantly black swim regions and clubs, but it ain't like black tennis. It's not the case that black swimming, we do not swim. Now, there's a recent study, relatively recent, came out in 2023, I think. 44%, less than 50% of Americans know how to swim. I didn't know this. I'm from California, and in California, I think the number is just higher, especially I'm around the beach. So there was just a higher incidence of black people swimming. And just like swimmers, I thought more Americans knew how to swim. But it turns out, in terms of being able to swim a lap in a pool, 25 meters, tread water for a minute, basic swim things, less than half of Americans can actually do that. And I didn't really realize how dire it was until I saw, I was at one of the local pools here, and I saw a group of black women between, I want to say 18 and 22, 18 and 22, late high school, early college, and they all came together, and they all went to the community pools, life jackets and floaties and pool noodles, and all of them had all of the things. All of them had all of the things in terms of none of them could swim. So I was just thinking, there are 30 black women here, and none of them can swim. Like 0 of them. Which makes me think that the less than half of Americans, if you just go to black Americans, that number I wouldn't be surprised if that number goes down to 15%. Can swim a lap, tread water for a minute, and I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if that number went down lower than 10 when it came to swim 100 meters. That's 4 laps, go 1 lap, touch, forget doing a flip turn, just go, touch, come, turn around, do a freestyle back, 4 laps in a pool. I don't know if 1 out of 20 black people can do that. And what does that mean? Well, first of all, swimming's an excellent exercise. And I just remembered this because April 1st, I just, decided that's it. My kids are going to learn how to swim. It's the beginning of their spring break. I had some time. So I took them down, and we did the little YMCA lessons before, but that's barely floating, and it's fundamentally unserious. And I wanted them to actually be able to swim. So I had to do it myself. That's a lot of things in the United States for black people. If you want your kids to be able to do it, you're going to have to end up teaching them themselves. You can't trust the systems. So I go, and April 1st, every day, teach my kids to swim. We got a 2-week membership to the YWCO. Got a nice heated pool. And after that 2 weeks, they're swimming pretty good. And then it's such a great exercise that we just get a membership to the YWCL, plus it's so close. And I just keep working with them. Every day we swim. Every day we swim. Every day we swim. And now my 11, 9, and 7-year-old, they go there. They do their 50 yards of backstroke, and then they do 100 yards of freestyle. Even my 7-year-old can now do that freestyle. And that was April 1. So April, May, June, 3 months. Now all my kids, my older two were pretty good pretty early, but my youngest one's 7. He's young, so 50 yards is a long way. And so and I watched the technique. I've never taught swimming, but I watched the technique on YouTube, and I just watch a lot of YouTube videos. YouTube's done wonders for parenting of this generation, or the potential of parenting for this generation, because you can teach your kid to do anything once you learn it yourself on YouTube. So I, watched a ton of YouTube videos, and then the next day I would teach my kids, all right, relax your shoulder here, make sure this gets out of water, right? Help your form, don't bend your knees, kind of keep straight like a pencil, and I would just work with them slowly, and now they swim pretty well and pretty fluidly. And they will never be one of those people, one of those black people who go to a pool and then like grown people and need floaties because they can't swim. And I don't know how it makes me feel. It would be one thing if swimming was something ethically arbitrary, but it's actually a wonderful exercise, because now we still go every day. They do their laps, and then they play on a diving board and stuff like that. I can relax because they can all swim so well. And I do laps. Like I do quarter mile. I do, 400 meters at least, or sometimes a little bit less, but pretty much I just do laps now. And it's good because it actually occupies my mind in a way, because I'm now, since I'm an adult, I'm constantly kind of improving my form and finding little ways to get more efficient. When I first started with them, I was just a regular swimmer. I could, I grew up in California, so I could swim, but I wasn't great. I could go, 25, 50 meters without drowning. And now I can go, quarter mile, not a mile. I don't think I've tried a mile yet. But anyway, I could train for a triathlon and do fine. But because I've spent the time to learn the technique, because I was teaching the technique to my kids. And by the time my kids are in junior high, we'll probably all do a triathlon together, because they're also pretty fast on land. But I'm just horrified that this wonderful exercise and wonderful experience, because it uses your whole body and a little bit of your mind, and it's just I always feel better every time. Like I swim, you swim 200. That's what, 8 laps. You swim 200 meters, and you just feel great. You feel great. You swim a quarter mile, you feel even better. Like at the end, and no matter what other workout I've done that day, if I swim laps at the end, I just feel like everything just better. It's gotten blood into everything in my body. And I think more black people should have that in their life. Now, we were segregated out of swimming pools for a long time because of the fluid exchange in the water. It was a little bit too intimate between the blacks and the whites. But now it's just more of a cultural bias that I think we need to address with a little bit more seriousness. And also, swimming is one of those things that it really does profit from learning proper technique at a young age. And you could be horribly inefficient and not have a great time, and be a little bit more efficient and have a much better time. And it saddens me to see us locked out at a young age. And it's also one of those things that you could do forever. Like, you got old people at this YWCO, like people in their 70s, they could go for, it seems like they can go for for multiple hours, because the technique is wonderful. And it's actually like the perfect amount of resistance, and you can kind of modulate the resistance based on your fitness and age, and It's for all body types, and it just helps everybody become a better whatever kind of physical specimen that they happen to be already, without putting particular amount of stress on your joints. So I just think that's something that if Americans do, Black Americans should do, and insofar as Black Americans are especially American, they should do maybe at a higher rate than their white counterparts, not at a lower rate. And I just wish that infrastructure was set up in the community and were funded a little bit more than just the do not drown lessons, but actually creating positive swimmers, positive, like actual people who could just go and do laps as a part of their workout. Because in a way, it's a lot easier on your body than running. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the black hair problem with respect to the women. And they make caps. They make swim caps that can fix this problem, I think. And then they make all sorts of swim. You put your locks in the swim cap. They make caps that'll work with you. Or maybe if they don't, you could be the Madam C.J. Walker of swim caps if they haven't designed them the right way. Because I know they make some caps for black women. But if it's not right, you could be the Madam C.J. Walker of it and make a mint. So doing black hair, protecting black hair for swimmers, because I think it's unfortunate that these kind of like lame beauty standards keep black women from being appropriately active and fit, and I think it's really not great for the culture. By the way, the best beauty regimen, I don't care what your cosmetologist says or your esthetician, the best beauty regimen is a good workout plan and a good diet. Like if you have a good workout plan and a good diet, if you're under 30 and you have a good workout plan and a good diet, you're going to be hot. That's just how it is. like you would have to have a screwed up I don't know. So I wish we painted and dyed less and worked out and dieted more. Painted and dyed, that means change colors. Less and worked out, but that's part of a culture. So I want you to grow up swimming so that you can continue swimming into your later years. And because it's such a wonderful exercise that can be lifelong, but still very fruitful, both contemplative and intellectually engaging, sufficiently so. And what I also like about it for kids is that it's indifferent. It works every, muscle and bone and whatever and ligament, but it's also indifferent to emotional manipulation, which is, I think, especially important for girls who, if you don't watch out as part of being American, they pick up emotional manipulation as a way of communicating. And you cannot emotionally manipulate the water. It'll drown you. It's indifferent to how you feel about the issue. It's indifferent to how tired you are. It's indifferent to any of those like little subtle manipulations that we engender in a particular gender. So I think it's especially important for girls to become competitive swimmers, but just because of the indifference of the water as compared to, them being able to manipulate coaches and stuff and teachers and all of that. So I'm a huge fan of swimming. I wish we did it more. I don't want to be one of those people who say that we do it. Like we do play tennis. We just don't tell people we play tennis. We do not swim at the level we should. And that is a problem that might raise to be rectified because there are public policy reasons why we don't swim at the level in which we should. We should. But I want us to talk about it. So go ahead and talk about your swimming journey in the comments. And I don't want us to fool ourselves into thinking that black people do things we don't do. We do play tennis. We do not swim. And I want you to be a swim. I want you to not just not drown. But, and even the people who say that they can swim well enough to not drown, they probably don't swim well enough to not drown. I need you to be able to swim. It's a wonderful exercise that we should not be locked out of. And sure, we can, they're going to be Simone Manuel swimming at the Olympics, but she's an outlier. like she's an outlier, and we shouldn't confuse outliers with actual parts of the culture in a meaningful way. And I don't think swimming should just be for the whites, and I don't think competitive swimming should just be for the whites. And it's a wonderful exercise for kids, and we should get in there. We should get in there and take our. And I have a suspicion that if we did competitively swim as a part of a culture, we would dominate. There you'd go to the Olympics, and it would be black people doing it. But in order to do it competitively, you have to do it young. And swimmers are another thing I like about swimmers is that it's such a hard cardio exercise that they have no problem pushing kids to do it twice a day. Right? So if you're a serious swimmer, you get the discipline of waking up in the morning and having a workout. And then, since it's only so hard on the muscle but hard on the heart, you can come back and they'll work your heart again at the end of the day because it's easy on the body, but it's a good workout for the heart. And so you'll get 2-a-day workouts from a young age. And that just builds hardy character because you learn how to get up and do a hard thing. And then at the end of the day, you learn how to continue doing a hard thing. I'm going to do a whole show on the importance of morning workouts for young people because I think that it's underestimated how important it is to get your kids up and do something hard before school starts. I think it's underestimated how it is. And then you read about all of these people who low-key, parents got them doing morning workouts, or it's institutionalized like it is in swimming, or the LDS church where you just get up, you go to seminary, and you go to seminary, and then before school, and that's just part of what it is, the metabolism of your day. You get up, you do something hard before school starts. I think we need to think about it. Almost doesn't matter what the hard thing is with qualification. It almost doesn't matter what the hard thing is, but I think that you need to get kids up and do them to do something hard before school starts, and as part of the ritual. And there aren't milking cow chores anymore that kids have to do, but I think it's good to get them to do something else, some sort of excellence before school. All right. Thank you for your time. Like I said, go ahead and share your swimming journey in the comments. I think black people should swim. I don't think they do. And I think it might be as bad as actually can do 50 meters, just one length of the pool touch and swim back. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 7%, which is unfortunate because it's such a wonderful exercise. And like I said, I always only feel better. Sometimes after a run, sometimes I'm a little bit more achy. I usually feel better after a workout in the gym. I'm sometimes stiff, so I don't feel better in all ways, but I usually feel better. After a run, I usually feel better, but sometimes I don't. And I run a lot. Sometimes I'm just exhausted and need to think. But after a swim, man, no matter how hard the swim was, I always feel great. I always feel great because it just gets blood in everywhere. It works out the lactic acid while creating other kind of lactic acid in everywhere. So, swim. Go to YouTube to learn how to swim. Go in the pool. I guess if you're an adult and you don't have a daddy like me, pay for adult lessons because I think the teachers are probably pretty good at it. But, go to YouTube and learn the technique as on your own, and then pay some professional to hold you up as you float on your back, and then work you through the drills on your front till you can learn how to freestyle, and then do your work because it's just a high quality of life. It's an exercise that leads to a high quality of life. All right, thank you very much, and I will talk to you. And if you appreciate what I'm doing, go ahead and go to www.funkyacademic.com and kick in $5, $15, or $50 a month. None of this comes for free, and I'm going to do some pretty hot topics. And the things I say are kind of controversial, so I always have to kind of watch where my bread's coming from because it's only a matter of time before, for some other reason, it gets cut out. Like next show, I'm going to talk about some of Umar's foolishness because, Umar, he makes his money by telling black people not to date outside of black people. And so black women who love that and will pay him enough, not to start a school because he doesn't have that kind of money, but they'll pay him enough to keep his con going, which is to kind of squeeze black women for their dollars by telling them that they're irreplaceable. Their womb is irreplaceable. They don't even have to do anything like campaign. So I'm going to go into Umar on the next show. And, that's going to tick off a lot of people. So that's why you should go to www.funkyacademic.com and kick in $5, $15, or $50 a month, because not too many people who actually tell you the truth about the truth in a way that's not necessarily profitable. Take care. Bye. Oh, by the way, if Umar was a real threat to the white community, you wouldn't know who he was. You wouldn't know who he was. No white guy is going to lose $1 out of their pocket because of anything Umar says. And that's a whole problem. Peace.